Uh, Hi, everybody, and good morning. Well, it is February 3rd, Thursday morning, and we are here for my research methods class. Great, thank you. I didn't even have to ask, and you already told me it sounds good. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm glad that you're here with me. I appreciate so much that you all join me live on Twitch here. It's nice to have your interaction. Even though I can't see you, I still greatly appreciate that you are here. So thank you for being here with me this morning. I see a lot of you getting your names in the chat and getting logged in, which is fantastic. So we have a lot to talk about today. I want to go over a little bit of feedback from last week, since we did have our first homework assignment, and talk briefly about the discussion. And then we have our first exam this week, so I want to make sure that you are feeling as good as possible about that as well. So we will go ahead and jump in here in just a second. But again, I hope all of you are doing well and hanging in there. We are almost to the weekend, so if you're ready for a break, hang in there. It is coming very, very soon. So yes, let's go ahead and go over to Canvas together. We can take a look at some of those things. So as of Monday morning, we are in week number 4. Which is kind of hard to believe, right? It feels like this semester is going pretty quickly. So I'm just getting this queued up here on my phone so I can see your comments. Perfect, there we go. But let's go back to last week and just look really quickly at some of the materials that we had, just so that you can always kind of continue to improve and understand kind of where you fell in relation to everyone and some general comments. So last week, as I said, we had a couple of things, and I appreciate so many of you taking the time to fill out that checking in survey. It was really nice to get some of your feedback. Most of you said that you're feeling really good and that you understood what was expected of you. A few of you expressed some anxiety about the exam, which we'll definitely talk a lot about today. So most of you seem like you're doing pretty well, and so that's nice for me to hear. And as always, if you're ever confused or need help, please make sure you reach out to me. I am here, and I'd be happy to do whatever I can to support you. So thank you again for those of you who filled that out. Last week we had 2 things that were due. We had discussion number 3. And then we had the homework assignment, and they were very much building on each other, which was very purposeful. So I hope that you found that connection to be a little bit helpful. They were kind of working on similar goals. So I enjoyed all of your topics that you came up with for the discussion. I wrote them down here. There was some common topics that people had. The most common ones were PTSD, anorexia, and depression. So a lot of very interesting topics, mostly centered around topics related to disorders and mental illness. But I really enjoyed all of the different topics that you came up with. You did a wonderful job overall on describing the different searches that you did, the information that was yielded, and it seemed like a lot of you found it to be a little bit insightful, because I think most of us know that we have a lot of options available for us when it comes to searching for information, but we don't always consciously look into them, right? Like, you know that Google Scholar is there, but most of us just use something much faster and easier when we're doing an internet search. So I was excited to see that a lot of you seem to find it to be illuminating a little bit. And I enjoyed your differences between academic and non-academic sources and examples, and advantages and disadvantages of Wikipedia. So very, very nicely done overall. I use Wikipedia all the time. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just remembering to use it for appropriate reasons. So again, overall, for the most part, really well done. A few of you, I gave you the feedback of wanting just a little bit more. So remember to always elaborate. And a couple of you also did not reply to a classmate. So just continue to do those things throughout the semester. And if you forgot to do it one week, it's okay. These extra credit opportunities and the points from them will definitely help to make up for maybe, not the best discussion or take a little pressure off the exam. So continue to do these extra credit opportunities, and that will definitely help you out as well. So overall, again, really nicely done. A lot of fun topics. And again, I really enjoyed that a lot of you seem to appreciate and get some knowledge and perspective from the discussion. The other thing that we had due last week was our first homework assignment, and we do have 4 of these throughout the semester. So 1 done and 3 to go. And again, some really interesting articles. I really enjoyed just the range of topics that you all explored. And so for homework assignment number 1, most of you, the vast majority of you, got between 22 and 25 points. There were a lot of A's on this, a lot of full credit. So that made me very, very happy to see. I'm going to click on this for just a moment here. 2 of the biggest things that I saw that people lost points for. The first one was not uploading a copy of the PDF with your submission. And so if you didn't do this, you lost 3 points because I had no way of referencing the article to see if you identified the sections correctly. I had to kind of guess a little bit and look very closely to see if it made sense. So make sure, in the future that you're following all the instructions. That was kind of a couple of easy points that a few of you missed out on by not including the PDF or some link. I even accepted a link to the article as a few of you did that and you didn't lose points for doing so. So that was one thing that I saw. The other one, and only a couple of you did this, but a couple of you didn't quite follow the instructions. Now, the vast majority of you did beautifully, and it made me very happy to see that you were able to identify the sections. I know it's a little weird. You didn't necessarily write much for this paper. It was a lot of copying and pasting. But again, the whole point was to make sure that you could locate an article using the search engine and then identify the different sections and give me that little bit of a summary. And as I said, the vast majority of you did a beautiful job. So pat yourself on the back, very nicely done. But I had this sample submission down here. And remember, this was only like a page to 2 pages at the most, where you were following this format of giving me the title, the authors, the journal and publication, the abstract, and then the first sentence of each of these sections. A few of you just copied like the whole section, or you included the article and then tried to highlight things, and it was very difficult to see if you had identified those sections properly. So other than not attaching the PDF, that was the only other thing that I saw that a couple people could have improved on. So for the most part, again, the vast majority of you got between 22 and 25 points and did a beautiful job. So in the subsequent homework assignments that we have, you'll be doing other things related to content that we're covering. But this was your chance to use psych articles, as you also did in the discussion, and identify the sections of that article and paper. And really nicely done, too, on your summaries. Summarizing one of these articles, an APA-style article, in just a couple of sentences is challenging, right? And it's a skill that takes time to develop. And a lot of you did a really wonderful job. Again, I felt like a proud parent. Very, very nicely done overall. So again, a lot of you did the extra credit. I did post that recording last week. And so we move on to week number 4 this week. But yeah, no worries. Thank you for joining us, DJ. Lost points for forgetting to submit the article. So you won't ever have to submit, you won't ever have an assignment that's quite like this one again. But when you were on here, right, when you were on homework assignment number 1, you could have just uploaded the article, right? Since it's closed now, you can't see it. But you would have just uploaded it with your submission. So just make sure that you are always uploading all of the files, or like I said, I even accepted a link to the article in your paper. So just make sure that you're always including everything. You can upload more than one file, so you just would have uploaded another file to satisfy that requirement. Any other comments, questions, anything else about last week before we move on to this week? Yeah, no worries. And of course, it was 3 points off for not doing that. And if you do the extra credit from our stream today, that's 2 of those points back. And I believe you've been doing them all along. So I'm just, that will help make up for that. A couple of points isn't going to hurt you in the long run. So don't stress about it too much. And doing these extra credit opportunities, it's something like 32 points that you can get in total, which would way more than make up for a couple of points that were missed. So don't stress too much about it. Is my point. Okay. If you have any other questions, thoughts, comments, or anything about last week, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, we move on to week number 4. And this week, you aren't reading anything in the textbook. Okay, so you aren't focusing on the textbook this week. We are covering APA style formatting part 1. There will be several parts of APA style. That's a very important part of this course, learning, the APA formatting, what it is, who uses it, and all that kind of stuff. So for this week, there's a lecture, as always, for you to click on. And again, there is no reading this week in the textbook. I'm kind of giving it to you here and then in the lecture. So for this week, we're looking at what is APA formatting, when and why is it used, and trying to understand some of the general rules for avoiding plagiarism, such as when to cite or not cite sources and information. So make sure you read the summary. There's some beyond the book stuff here. I did include a couple of little videos that I would like you to watch. Oh, that drives me nuts. That picture isn't there. I'll have to go look at that later. But I gave you a lot of information here on when to cite or not cite sources, when to use sources to avoid plagiarism, and then a little introduction to this manual, which is the big formatting manual that we use for APA style. So make sure that you click on all of these links, watch any videos that I include, especially this week since you don't have any assigned readings. And then the last page, as always, is the key terms and review. Another one, 2 pictures. That's gonna drive me nuts. I'll have to go fix that later. I'm so sorry for that. I want it all to be perfect, right? But here are all the terms for this week that you needed to know from this lecture. So make sure that you complete all of the lecture materials on here. And then, of course, watch the lecture video that I made for you as well, which is right here. So the lecture video is all about, what is APA style. I went through some PowerPoints that I created and lectured on them. You might want to take notes, pay close attention. The materials from here will definitely appear on the exam. So those are the 2 kind of content related things for this week. Again, there aren't any readings in the book, so don't worry about that, but do complete the lecture and also the lecture video that I have for you. There's also a discussion this week. As always, you will always have a discussion every single week, except the final week, I think, where you take the exam. But as always, make sure that you watch my little introduction video where I kind of go over the topic a little bit more. Make sure that you answer all of my questions and then also read through at least 5 of your classmates' posts and reply to one of them. So for this week, you're looking at APA formatting, right, which is our topic for the week. So question 1, what is APA style? And explain when and why is it used? Okay, and that's really the focus of this first part of APA formatting. What is it and when and why is it used? Number 2, I want you to read the following 3 scenarios, and for each of them, so for all 3, I want you to decide whether or not it is plagiarism and explain why or why not. And this is your chance to bring in some of the stuff that I talk about in the lecture video and also in that typed lecture. So you're integrating and using and applying that knowledge from the lecture. So read through each of these 3 scenarios, and you're going to tell me, do you think it is plagiarism? And explain why or why not based on the materials from the lecture. With some of these, I think there's kind of a clearer answer. But for at least one of them, your opinion and how well you support it can definitely matter. So I will look forward to your thoughts on these 3 scenarios and your explanations of APA style and when and why it's used. So when you're ready to answer, you'll hit reply, which will bring up a text box. And as always, I would recommend saving your answer just in case something goes wrong. Technology can always be glitchy. And then when you're ready to reply to a classmate, you can hit reply under somebody. So like if I wanted to reply to Justine, I could reply here, or Effie, I could reply here, right? So just make sure that not only are you answering my questions, but that you're also replying to one of your classmates. So that is the discussion for this week. Again, applying the knowledge that you're learning about APA style formatting. The other thing that we have this week is we do have our very first exam, and I want to take some time to talk about this and make sure that you feel as good as you can. I know exams cause a lot of anxiety, and that's totally okay. It's normal to be anxious about an exam. So I'm hoping that by going over, some tips and requirements and formatting stuff, that you'll feel a little bit better. Okay, so let's see. Someone said, I feel like part of this week's discussion assignment should have been also to take a moment to be grateful for the fact that we can access all of this APA formatting online now, rather than having to look it up in books like we used to. For those who are a few years out of high school like I am, oh my gosh, do I completely agree with you on that. When I wrote my master's thesis, so I mean, I guess like 12, it's more like 15 years ago right now. I wanted to say 12, but it's like 15 at this point. When I wrote my master's thesis, there were not resources like this online. And so I completely echo what you're saying there, Cora Richards. So I completely understand that. When I wrote my master's thesis, I had to do all of this by hand. And I will add and share with you that halfway through my thesis project, my 130-page master's paper, they changed the APA style. They updated the APA manual, and I had to start over. So yes, it is absolutely amazing the number of resources that we have online right now. And we'll talk about some of those resources in APA formatting part 2 when we get there. But yes, I completely agree with you. There is an incredible amount of fantastic information and resources and citation generators and so on online. So yes, I am very grateful for that, and I would agree with you on that as well. So let's take some time and talk about the test. Now, I want you to notice there's a couple of things here. Yes, I lost my mind too. I cried. I'll share that with you. I totally broke down and cried, and then I was like, okay, here we go. Let's just do it. But you have to roll with what happens. But it was, yes, it was miserable, and I lost my cool and then dealt with it. All right, so yes, thank you. I'm glad you understand how painful that could be. So there's a couple of things here related to the test, right? Yeah, there's a normal reaction to have, right? I also lost like 30 pages of it at one point and cried for that too, right? Graduate school is stressful. School is stressful, period, right? And even more so now with the world being what it is. So there's a practice exam, a study guide, and the actual exam. So I just want to mention these 3 elements to you. And I want to let you know as well that my hope with these exams is that you all get A's. I would love it if every single one of you got 100% on the test. I will never, ever trick you. Everything should be very straightforward. I write all of my own exam questions, so none of them are like a random generated like test bank question. And I genuinely do want you all to do well. Okay, so just know that going into it, if there's ever a question that seems confusing, right? Try and read it a second time, because it's never my intention to trick you. So what you have here, you have a practice exam, and the practice exam won't help you with the content. Okay, this is just the mandatory orientation quiz without any points attached to it. So what this will do is help you with the formatting of the test. So if you wanted to practice what it looks like to save your responses, to submit it, and so on, this will help you with that. Okay, now if you want help with the content, this isn't going to help you there. So a couple of you asked me questions about that. I'll get there in just a second about the notes and textbook during the test. You're allowed to use both. I'll say more about that. I'm glad you asked. So this won't help you with content, but it might be helpful if you haven't ever taken a quiz on Canvas before. The practice exam might help you to kind of get a little bit familiar with that. Now, when you're ready to take the exam, this is where you will go to do that. It is worth 50 points, and it's due by this Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. So when you're ready to take the test, you'll click on exam number 1 right here. And what it will do is it will open up this page, and you haven't started the test yet, not till you hit take the quiz. Okay, so let's look at some of the instructions and things that are on here, and hopefully this will answer your question as well. So the exam is worth 50 points. It has 50 questions, so each one is worth 1 point. It's due by this Sunday night at 11:59 p.m., like always, the same weekly deadline as always. And you have 60 minutes to complete it. Now, I've been using a variation of the same test for the last 2 years that I've been teaching this course online. And the average amount of time that people take to complete the test is usually between like 40 to 45 minutes. So it is plenty of time, with one caveat, and that is as long as you have studied and prepared like you would for a traditional in-person test. So let's break that down a little bit more. A few things to remember for this exam. You have 60 minutes to complete it, and you only have one attempt at the exam, so be ready and organized before you begin. What that means, right, is make sure that you have a quiet place to take the exam, you have good internet connection or as good as possible, that you have studied, you're organized, you're ready to go. Make sure all of that is in place before you hit take the quiz. Once you open it, you are in it and you are in that one attempt. So just make sure that you're as ready to go as you can be before you hit take the quiz. You can use your notes and your book and anything at your disposal during the exam, but I promise you that you will be very short on time, maybe even run out of time if you're trying to look each answer up. So what you're going to want to do is go through and study, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that when we talk about the study guide. You're going to want to make sure that you're prepared and organized, and that sets you up for success in having enough time to answer each of the questions. But you are welcome to use your notes and welcome to use your book. And I hope that you use your study guide notes, which I'll talk more about in a couple of minutes, as that will be really helpful for you on the exams. Canvas does have a clock, so there will be a 60-minute clock up at the top, and you'll see it counting down. All right, so just be mindful of your time as you're going through. If you don't know the answer to a question, skip it, and you can come back to it later. And just watch the clock, right? You should have plenty of time, but make sure that you're keeping an eye on it and maybe skipping questions if you don't know the answer. And make a note of it to yourself, and you can come back to it later. When you're all done, you'll hit submit quiz, and it will tell you right away, what your score is on the exam. So you will know right away what your test score is, right? All of the questions are short answer and multiple choice and matching or true false. And so you will know what your score is right away. So when you're done taking it, hit submit and you'll get that score, and hopefully that will help as well. Yes, you can flag the questions as well to come back to them later, right? Thank you for mentioning that. So you can make a note to yourself or you can flag it either way. But again, remember, there will never be any trick questions. If you've been reading and following along and completing the materials, I think the exams are very straightforward and you'll be in a good place. So I'd like to share just a couple of other tips with you. Please try to not wait until Sunday night to take the test. I know our schedules are all over the place and maybe Sunday is the only day that you can do it, but don't wait until like Sunday night at 10 p.m. to take it. Inevitably, it's like the law of the universe, right? If you wait till Sunday night, your power is going to go out, your internet's going to crash, your computer will break, you will get sick, there'll be an emergency, right? Whatever it is, the universe will be out to get you. It almost always seems to happen this way. So please try and set yourself up for success and take it tomorrow. Take it Saturday morning, even Sunday morning. Just don't wait till the last minute on Sunday night. I check my email up until about 8 p.m. on Sunday evening. If you have an issue and something crashes, I can reset it. I can work with you and help you out. If you take it after 8 p.m. and something goes wrong, you are on your own with it, right? I may or may not get your email after 8 p.m. I try my best to check it, but Sunday night late, right, I may or may not get your email. So try and set yourself up for success and don't take it at the last minute. And again, make sure that you have as quiet of a place as you can and good internet connection. Those things will help you out as well. So let's talk a little bit about how you can prepare for the exam. And I've said that a few times. You're going to want to study. You're going to want to prepare. What does that mean? Let's talk about it. So for every exam, I will give you a study guide, right? So you will always know every single term or concept that I'd like you to know for the exam ahead of time. And you actually have had this information all along. So the study guide is just a compilation of the terms that I included in every lecture. Remember, for every single lecture, right? So let's go to last week. If you click on the chapter 2 lecture, remember that that third page is always going to be the key terms. So if you click on that, these are the terms that you needed to know for this unit on the exam. And all I've done on the study guide is put all of these together for every chapter that we've covered this unit, and that's what the study guide is. So after I make the exam, I go back and I put all of these terms together. Well, I'm just clicking on things randomly. I'm so sorry. I thought I was clicking on the right thing, and then all of a sudden we're in week 3. So here's the study guide. If we open that up, it is basically just a compilation of all of those terms. And so these are all the terms that you need to know from chapter 1, the terms from chapter 2, part 1, chapter 2, part 2, and then this week's APA formatting, part 1. So if it is on here, it will be on the exam. If it's not on here, you don't need to study it. You don't need to worry about it. I've given you every possible term or concept that you need to know for the test. So if it were me, and I'll share with you, I am a perfectionist, right? I am one of those students that will not get anything less than an A. I'm not sure it's worth it, but that's my personality. That's who I am. If it were me, I would over prepare for the first exam. If you haven't taken a test with me before, right, you don't know what to expect. And so it's always better to over prepare than to have that moment where you're like, oh my God, I'm not ready. I didn't do enough, right? So try and yes, I am definitely a nerd. Try and over prepare and be ready. What that means is what you might want to do is type out or write out each one of these terms. Okay, so if you were taking this class in person, you might make flashcards for this, you would study it and you would prepare, right? And so that is a really good way to think about preparing for this test. Go through and type these terms out. Copy and paste the definition from the book or from the lecture. And then what you will have in front of you during the exam is a study guide that's completed. And you know that you have each one of these terms and concepts and ideas written out. You're not going to have to go through book to try and find it during the test. You're not going to have to look through the lectures and try and find it. If you were to type out all of this, you have it and you're ready to go, and everything you could need is in front of you. I would do that personally if it were me. And if you find that you over prepared for this test, you can always dial it back a little next time. But you don't want to have that moment where you're like, oh my gosh, I should have studied and I'm not in a good place. And you have that panic and anxiety on top of the normal panic and anxiety that comes with taking tests. So I would really recommend that. It's totally up to you. But I would study, I would type these out or write them out. You could use something like Quizlet, which is also really helpful. But make sure that you are preparing like you would for a normal traditional test. You cried when you got your first B last semester? Oh, I completely understand, right? I got A's all the way through, and I actually dropped the class once because I wasn't going to get an A in it, right? So I understand. I am that way as well. But my point here is if you type or write or like study everything on here, you should be in really good shape. And again, I really, really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, hope you all do well on this test. And if you study and prepare and you've written all this out, there's really no reason that you shouldn't. So that would be my biggest suggestion to you, along with not waiting until Sunday night. If you complete the study guide and do all of that, you should be in fantastic shape. Okay. So are there any other questions about the exam that I can answer for you? It's okay if you're feeling a little anxious. I hope you all do well, but is there anything else that I can answer to help you feel a little better or more prepared? If there is, put it in the chat and I will do my best to answer that. While I'm waiting for you to see if you have any questions, I do have a couple of reminders for you, and of course the extra credit questions. So let me put these in the chat here. I'm going to give you your weekly reminder to double check your subscription status. We are in week number 4. So what you'll find is if you subscribe for free, there is an excellent chance that that expires this week or next week. So just double check that each week. If you see like you're getting more ads or ads during the stream, then it's definitely expired. I'm not seeing anyone yet, that has expired, but just double check it every week. If you don't have the little football cake next to your name, that means you're no longer subscribed. It just takes a second to resubscribe for free for 30 days, like I showed you how to do in the past. So just double check that every week. The other reminder, our next Twitch live stream, oh, not love stream, but live stream, can't type, will be on Thursday next week. Thursday next week is what? Let's check here. I'll give you the specific day. My computer's taking forever. The 10th, right? So Thursday, 2:10 at 10 o'clock in the morning, like usual. Okay, so our next live stream for week number 5 will be on Thursday, 2:10 at 10 in the morning. We'll go over some feedback from this week. I'll talk about some statistics from the exam so you can get an idea of where you fell on it. But that will be our next live stream. The last thing that I have for you is the Twitch extra credit. I wrote it out, so let me copy and paste that for you into the chat. And this is definitely something that we are covering this week. So let me put this in the chat for you here. Our extra credit question is, what does APA stand for, and which edition are we currently using? So what does APA stand for, and what edition of that manual are we currently using? And so when you're ready to answer that, you'll head back to Canvas. Since we're in week 4, you'll click on optional Twitch extra credit number 4. Click on that. Up at the top, then you can click on Start Assignment, and that will allow you to bring up the text box where you can type your response. So type your response here, and then you can hit Submit Assignment. Get your 2 points, get your confetti burst, and what were those moons? Right, there's always some random like little thing in there too. So make sure that you do this before Sunday night. These 2 points again will add up. They'll help for making up for missing something or not getting full credit on something, or maybe just take pressure off an exam as well. So please continue to do this. This is due by Sunday night. I will try and grade them throughout the week. So if you get it wrong, I will let you know, and you can always try again. But otherwise, those are the big things for this week. Make sure you complete the lecture for this week along with the lecture video. Remember, there's no reading. Discussion number 4 related to APA style part 1. The exam and study guide. Make sure you study, prepare, do all the things that I mentioned. If you missed some of those tips, go back and watch this again later. I will post a recording of this later today, so if you need to go back and watch it, or you weren't able to make it live, it will be there for you. The study guide is here, the exam is here, 2-point optional extra credit is there for you, and as always, you have your little wrap-up checklist if you'd like to just double check that you've hit on everything that is due this week. I think that is everything that I have for you. I do still have about 10 minutes or so for questions if you have any. I have another class at 11, but I have about 10 more minutes. If you have any questions about the exam, about your homework assignment, about anything related to the class, I'm here and I would be happy to answer them for you. Otherwise, that is everything that I wanted to go over with you. So if you need to go, you are welcome to do so. Good luck on the exam. Take a couple of deep breaths. It will be okay. I hope all of you have a wonderful rest of your week. Take care of yourself. Stay healthy. Yes, have a wonderful day, relaxing weekend for all of you as well. We are going to go up to, I've never been to Boulder Creek. I guess it's just up near Santa Cruz. So we are leaving Saturday morning to get out of here for a couple of days and go enjoy the redwoods. It's not all the way up in Humboldt, but we got this cool little Airbnb. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. We rented a house. It's been a long week. We rented a little house and we're very excited to go up and spend it in the trees. So very, 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 very fun. I've never been up there and I'm looking forward to it. I have researched all the restaurants up there. That's my priority, right? Where can I go eat while I am there? So I hope all of you have a relaxing weekend as well, and that I see you next Thursday morning for our next live stream. Oh yes, I'm all about the food, right? I'm always about the food. Oh, I will definitely let you know. Whether you want to hear it or not, I will probably let you know. Berry Creek Falls. Okay, I will look it up. Thank you. Oh, I love I love that area. I love Northern California. I'm not sure I consider that northern. It's more central, but after I get past San Francisco, I consider it Northern California. So yeah, that's fun too. Oh, lots of good food in San Francisco. All of the sourdough bread, Ghirardelli Square. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. Right? Oh, I'll take a picture of the house. I could see if I can share it with you when we get back. I'll take a picture of what it looked like. I'm very excited to get out of the area. But thank you. I hope you all. I know Rams did make it to the Super Bowl. Yes, they did, and I will root for the Rams. I'm very sad about Tom Brady and his retirement, but I will root for the Rams anyway. I love my little Cooper Cup, and I will root for him as well. He won me a lot of fantasy championships this year, so I will root for the Rams, even though they beat my Brady and the Bucks. That's okay. Uh, one more week. Super Bowl's next weekend. I'm looking forward to that, of course, as well. Boom. Anyway, I'm going to minimize my video. Again, if you have any other questions, thoughts, comments, put them in the chat. And if you think of something later, feel free to email me. I am here and I'm always checking my emails, so I would be happy to help out. But have a wonderful week, everyone. I'm going to minimize this, and then I will still hang out for a few more minutes if you have any other questions. All right, everyone. It looks like I'm the only one still on here. There's like two of you, I think, in here. So if you do think of any questions, feel free to email me. Otherwise, I'm gonna log off so I can start downloading this before my other class. Have a wonderful week. Yep, yeah, it's like you and me, I think, and that's it. But I'm gonna close this up so that I can start that download for my other class, and then I will see you all next Thursday morning.